So hello and welcome to this session. We hope you'll find it useful and informative. We have two Irish language interpreters here today, and we have Tony and we have Leah, and we also have our Irish language our interpreter or our captioning, sorry, who will be captioning the session. I think you need to highlight on your screen in order to see. So, Carol, is that correct?
Exactly. Yeah, you just need to click the captioning button on your screen and you will be able to see the captioning.
So my name is Karen Whelan. I'm the Arts Participation Support Manager with the Arts Council. I am a white female with brown hair and wearing glasses today. I'm joined today by my co-presenters, Anya Crowley, who is the Programme Manager, Arts and Engagement with Create Ireland, and Ange Senior, who is the Programme Manager at Arts and Disability Ireland. We also have Carol Magnani, who is the Arts Participation Officer at the Arts Council, and Patrick Meehan, who is the Assistant, and they'll be supporting us today on this platform. So the purpose of this session today is to give you a brief overview of each organisation and the Arts Council funding that is available to you. So Create manage the Artist in the Community Scheme, and ADI manage the Arts and Disability Connect scheme, and we will all present on these separately. We will have a short discussion at the end, and then we will also open the floor to any questions that you may have. Again, the presentation is being recorded and we will turn it off at the Q&A session. So I'm going to run through a short presentation which will cover about the Arts Council funding and advice, what grants and awards are available, and then some tips on applying for funding and where you can get support. Okay. So just a little bit about the Arts Council. So the Arts Council is the national government agency for funding, developing and promoting the arts in Ireland. The Arts Council works in partnership with artists, arts organisations, public policymakers and others to build a central place for the arts in Irish life. The Arts Council strives to respect, support and ensure the inclusion of all voices and cultures from all sections of society, from existing and new communities and from all social backgrounds, ethnicities and traditions that make up Ireland today. We are underpinned by our 10-year strategy, making great art work, and we are in the final 3 years. Information on our strategy is available on our website. And you can find out more about the Arts Council and what we do through our registering for our e-newsletter. And we also provide information, on anything we fund, success stories on Instagram, Facebook and Twitter. So arts participation is, the Arts Council understands arts participation to include a broad range of practice where individuals or groups collaborate with skilled artists to make or interpret art. The practice involves a mutually beneficial two-way engagement that nurtures and values the different ideas, experiences and skills of all involved. Because of the diverse nature of artists, groups and communities, the Arts Council subdivides these into 5 different areas. And these are arts and health, arts and disability, arts and cultural diversity, arts and older people and creative ageing, and arts and community development. So we do have a number of opportunities available to artists, arts practitioners, arts organisations. And a quick link to these you can find on our webpage, on the main homepage across the banner at the top, and you'll get a full list of all the opening and closing dates for the awards across the Arts Council, so not just relative to arts participation on this page. We also have a new page which gives top tips for new and returning applicants for making a funding application and information on how grants and awards are funded. There's lots of information there, and again, that link is available on the homepage in the banner across the top. It's very useful too. So arts participation, arts awards are up to professional artists and arts organisations to apply, and in some cases, arts practitioners. It's important that you read the guidelines for each award, as this differs per opportunity. To be eligible to apply, applicants must be resident in the Republic of Ireland. So there may be exceptions to that rule. If you are living outside of Ireland, you will need to contact the Arts Council and discuss it with the team, because you need to ensure that your proposal will benefit the arts in Ireland. So arts participation offer a number of awards for individuals and organisations. I have a list here. So the Agility Award, the Bursary Award, Project Award, Arts Grant Funding, Touring of Work, and then the Arts and Disability Connect scheme managed by ADI, and Artists and the Community scheme by Create. And I'll give a quick overview of each of these. So the Agility Award, this is open to professional artists and arts practitioners. You can apply for the award if you want to develop your practice, develop your work, or develop your skills. Applicants can apply for an amount of 1,500 up to 5,000. Its closing date of 25th of April this year. There has been changes to this award, and the guidelines will be available, I'd say, in the next week or so. So please read up on them, especially if you have last year's guidelines. So I think there will be a focus on artists that haven't received Arts Council funding before, as well as those who have. So the Arts Participation Bursary Award. So the objective of the Bursary Award is to support individual professional artists only, and working in any art form to develop their practice in the area of arts participation in participatory, collaborative and community arts. Applicants can apply for an amount of 5,000 up to a maximum of €20,000. The closing date was the 15th of February, so that has just closed, and we are just currently going through an eligibility check on this. Some other teams do offer 2 rounds of bursary within a year, but arts participation don't. However, it's something that you could, if you were interested in, consider next year. So this award is for artists to spend focused time working at their practice, including critical reflection and evaluation, developing new skills, working with a mentor, doing some research, upskilling in a particular area of their practice. So it's all about the artists themselves and their own professional development. The Project Award is open to professional artists and arts organisations that wish to collaborate artistically with non-arts professionals, be they individuals or groups. The activity will take place within a specific period of time. It's normally a year from the time the award is granted. There must be an artistic outcome, and applicants can apply for an amount up to 60,000. So we would prioritise proposal for communities of place and interest, and in the context areas of health, disability, cultural diversity, as mentioned already. It's for the presentation, creation or interpretation of work developed through a collaborative process. You must give a clear description of methodologies for engagement. So, you know, it's for big projects, quality projects. collaborating with that non-arts community. So again, reading the guidelines is really important to ensure this is suitable for you. Arts grant funding. This is a really competitive award. It's open to organisations and individuals. It's to support more than one distinct arts activity taking place in a fixed period of time. And it can provide, well, for organisations who provide supports or facilities to artists over a fixed period of time. So there is no limit on the amount that can be requested here. However, we do work within budget constraints. So not everybody that applies can get funded, or all activities applied for could be funded. Again, it's really competitive. And there's a lot more involved in this application than there would be on the project award. So having a good read through the guidelines, and please contact us if you have any questions here or in any of the guidelines. Closing date is the 14th of March this year for activities taking place next year. I just have minimal information here on the touring scheme. This is open to artists and organisations, and there's a closing date in May this year for tours taking place in 2025. Again, these guidelines will be available soon, and if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to contact a member of the arts participation team or indeed the touring team. And this is for, I mean, this award is open across all art form and arts practice areas. So when you're applying for award, as I mentioned a number of times, reading the guidelines is really important. There is a set of guidelines for every single award, and so things will differ and there will be different requirements within each. So you get a lot of help and support in those guidelines through what it is that we're looking for, what you need to include, also the technical requirements you need to make your application. So just, I can't say it enough to read the guidelines before you start writing your application, because these will help steer you on. And I have the link there. So they are all available once the window of application is coming up. The guidelines will be available 2 weeks before that, and all on the available funding page. In every set of guidelines, you'll find information on the following. So about the award, who can apply, who cannot apply, what you may apply for, what you may not apply for, mandatory supporting documents, the assessment process, how to apply, technical requirements, and then you'll also find links for further information and support. Application forms are only available to download on online services. There has been issues which are fixed now, but we did have to make the application form available on the actual website. But now these will be available through once you've logged into your account. Once you've downloaded the application form, save it in a file where you can easily find it. And when filling in your form, to be sure to type into the grey box and click and save regularly. When completed, save it as final. So those last two are just tips to help you during your application process. All of the awards have a number
Sorry,
of...
Karen.
Yeah.
So the meeting capacity is 100 people only. So could I just ask if there's any Arts Council members in the meeting, could they drop off just so if there's anybody in the waiting room, we could admit them? Thanks.
Yeah.
Cheers.
Okay, it's great to have so many people joining us today. So supporting material, all of the awards have a number of mandatory documents that need to be submitted in addition to your application form. So for example, your CVs of artists involved, examples of work, letters of support, and please make sure that these are uploaded in addition to your application form. If they're not uploaded and submitted at the time of your application, they won't be accepted after, and your application could be deemed ineligible. how to apply. So in order to apply for an award, you need to have an online services account. If you don't have one, I'd suggest you do it as soon as possible, and I'll give you time to familiarise yourself before you do submit an application. Registration can take 5 working days. Once registered, you will receive an ARN, which is an artist reference number, like our file number, and a password by email. If it doesn't come directly into your inbox, please check your spam and junk folders, because they can quite often go in there. If you've registered before and can't remember your ARN number, don't hesitate to call us. We can have a look and find it for you, because if you register twice, this can have an impact on your history in applying to the Arts Council. Once you have your login details, you can log into your account, and then you can update it with any relevant information. Through your online services account, just to go through it again, you can update your personal details and any other relevant details. So this will be like bank details should you be successful. We will need your bank details in order for you to draw down the funding. You can download the application form, then upload the application form into supporting materials. You submit your application, and again, you can request payments should your proposal be successful. When applying, save as draft until you're absolutely sure you have everything you need before you submit. You will have to start all over again, because we can't accept documents that aren't uploaded through the portal. Eligibility. So applications are checked for eligibility at a number of stages. So to ensure that you are eligible, make sure you have all the mandatory documents uploaded. Most common reasons why people's proposals are made ineligible is because they missed the deadline, so they submit too late. They don't upload the supporting materials, they submit an incomplete application form, or they apply for the wrong award or the wrong purpose. Or they submit an application that's already been assessed through another funding round or through one of the other schemes. So these are the most common reasons for applications being made ineligible. So do all your checks before you submit. Access. So if you're an artist with a disability or need access requirements and wish to make an application, please contact our access officer as soon as possible before the deadline, so we can provide support for you. The phone number is 016180 or 016180 or by email to access@artscouncil.ie. There is a number of places you can go for additional support. So if you have questions about using the online services website, you can visit the FAQ section. And there's a link there in the guidelines, and these are also on the Arts Council website. If you have a technical question, and which is not answered in the FAQ section, you can contact online services at artscouncil.ie. If you have a query about your application and it's not technical, so if it's about the award itself, you can contact a member of the team, and all our details are available on the Arts Council website in the Contact Us staff and advisor lists. And then there are also videos available on YouTube that are very helpful and will bring you through the application process as well. So that's it from me. I hope you got some information here. I'll take questions at the end when both Anya and Ange have gone through theirs. And so if you want to note them note them down and then, or you can put them in the chat because Patrick is keeping an eye on the chat, and we will be sure to answer them then. So let me just stop sharing. And I am going to pass you over now to Anya. Hi, Anya.
Hi, just going to share my screen. Okay. So hi everybody. My name is Anya Crowley. I'm the program manager for arts and engagement with Create. I'm a white female. I have blonde, well, brown hair. I'm also wearing glasses and I'm wearing a black top and a yellow cardigan. So today I'm going to run through Create and I'm going to mainly touch off the artists in the community scheme and the different awards that come under the artists in the community scheme. And I'll also touch off some of, I suppose, the principles or the language around collaboration that we often hear used, how artists describe the work. I've tried to keep a balance of text, but also visuals. And you'll see on the slides that have visuals, there's also the name of the artist, the project, and the community. And you'll mainly find more information on these projects on our website. So again, thank you very much to the Arts Council for inviting us here today. So a little bit about Create. So most of you will know that we're the National Development Agency for Collaborative Arts. We're a resource organisation. And we provide advice and support services to artists and also arts organisations who work collaboratively with communities in a social or community context. But we also support communities. So communities often will come to us when they want to embark on a collaborative project with an artist. So some of the supports that we offer are, there's different professional development opportunities, like various CPDs. We offer project development support, such as if an artist has a project idea, they can contact us and we can do one-to-one to discuss the project idea. We also, more generally as an organisation, have commissionings. There's mentoring both by us, but also through a programme via the Artists in the Community Scheme. And then, of course, there's project opportunities through the Artists in the Community Scheme. And we're also, I suppose, at all times trying to sustain and keep research and training within our work as well. So my role is often to support some of the above. Yeah. So our mission is to lead the development of collaborative arts practice by enabling artists and communities to create exceptional art together. I suppose it's important to say that much of what we do is also often in partnership with other organisations. I suppose quite like collaborative practice, we rarely work alone. So I'm not going to go through the other programs that we that Create manage or are partners on, but I would recommend for people to look at our program page on our website, and you'll see more information on projects and programs such as the Creative Places Tune project or program. Also the work that we do with Studio Plus / the Dublin 8 Neighbourhood Residency. There's also a really interesting resource called Beyond the Now. And you'll find more information on different things like the different commissions and residencies that we've done, such as the Hugh Lane Commission with artist Gigi Sebastian. You'll also find information on the Create and Counterpoint Arts Summer School on collaborative practice and social change. So, and there's much, much more. So please do have a look. I'm also just going to show this slide because it's the Create strategy. So I, again, recommend that people look at it and you'll get a sense of, I suppose, Create's vision for the work that we do. And this is up until 2025. So, I suppose before we go into the details of the scheme, I think it's important that we look at collaborative arts. I suppose Create's interpretation. You'll see this on our website. We say that collaborative arts involves artists and communities working together, often over extended periods of time to make art. So the work is often durational, because you'd often hear us use that word. And And by facilitating wider participation, collaborative arts expand and diversify public engagement with the arts, enriching its contribution to society. So we'd often also kind of say, I suppose, that collaborative arts contest notions of authorship. It's clear to say that it's a vibrant area of practice, but it also can be quite challenging, and it also, I suppose, would demand different approaches to traditional definitions of art. So I suppose an artist who works collaboratively might find themselves pulling off a very diverse skill set from project management to the creative artistic skills. It's even out to production. So it's quite a demanding area of practice. So we'd often say that work that is made collaboratively with groups often exists outside the typical gallery space or traditional theatre space. So it can happen on beaches and streets, in shops, anywhere really. And also it can be and is often interdisciplinary. So we'd often have more than one artist apply to work on a project together. So there could be a musician working with a visual artist, or maybe a dancer working with an architect. So there might be many artists collaborating on a project, but they are collaborating with a community who are non-arts professionals. You might hear me repeat non-arts professionals throughout this, but I suppose ultimately the idea is that the community are not arts practitioners or artists. So I suppose what is at the core of collaborative practice that we would believe is co-creation. There's democratic decision-making. Projects are often based on issues or themes that are important to people or affect everyday people in their everyday lives. And it often, I suppose, the projects often engage people who may not necessarily or who may not normally engage in the arts. Projects often allow or perhaps maybe find new narratives. So when I say that, I mean that it offers new ways of articulating an issue. Sometimes that often would center a community in more local, national, and global conversations. And projects must, I suppose, have a purpose or meaning, or you could say maybe usability to the community other than a series of art workshops. So the project we'd often find is that the concept of the project often lives beyond the actual activity that might be, we'll say, via the Artists in the Community Scheme funded via that. And I suppose most importantly, well, not most importantly, the process is extremely important, but also what's extremely important is that the project has an artistic output. So that could be, I don't know, maybe a publication, a performance, a film. So with the Artists in the Community Scheme, so I suppose with this slide here, I suppose, well, first of all, it's important to note that we manage the Artists in the Community Scheme on a devolved basis for the Arts Council. So there's several strands to the work, but also I think it's important to kind of look at what surrounds the scheme. So we offer advice, or we offer information sessions. Like today, we've been invited to do an overview of the scheme, but we also offer more in-depth information sessions for each of the awards. We also offer application support. So if someone wants a one-to-one to talk about their project, we can offer that too. When people are funded, we continue the journey with the artists in the community, where if there's anything that they would like to discuss, be it about the project concept or whatever it is, we're there to support in that too. And then there's often different various project professional development opportunities. So with the awards and the different opportunities, what I'm going to go through today, I'll go through the AIC Scheme Awards. So what comes under the artist, so when I start, excuse me, so when I say AIC, it's an abbreviation for Artists in the Community Scheme. So what comes under the AIC Awards is the Research and Development Award with or without mentoring, and also the Project Realization Award. So there's 2 rounds each year, and we'll go into more detail in a bit. We'll also talk about the AIC Bursary Award, where there's 2 awards and 1 round. Then we'll also talk about the AIC Artist Mentoring Award, where there's 1 round and there's 5 pairings. And then We'll also talk about the AIC Artist Residency Award, where there's one round and there's one round and one award. I suppose also what's important to note is that I suppose reflective practice is always part of our work, and we research, and we always do that with the artists and the communities and the organizations that we work with. And I suppose looking at this, I'd like to see it as in one, I suppose, rich ecosystem that feeds into itself and informs it and evolves with the needs of the sector as well. So I suppose with the Artists in the Community scheme, it's a unique award scheme in that it centres the community in the heart of the artistic process as co-authors from beginning to end. Great slides. The scheme supports artists to work with communities of interest and place, and this happens in both urban and rural contexts around the country. So the AIC scheme has funded projects in all the corners of Ireland, on from the islands to little villages to neighbourhoods, cities, towns. So, you know, I suppose also what's important to note, when we say community, we mean it in the broadest sense. So you'd often hear us say community of place, and that could be a group in Kerry, a group in Mayo, in Cork, a group in on the islands. When we say community of interest, it might be a group of beekeepers, group of farmers or divers. There's also, I suppose, we've had artists work in health contexts, for example, with breast cancer survivors. We've also had artists work with LGBT community groups. So I suppose by interest, it's quite diverse, but also when we say of interest, there might be a specific topic that brings people together, for example, addiction or climate change or migration, aging. So also, and something that gets asked quite a lot is, a community might only be formed based on the community coming together to realise this project. So it could be a group of new people coming together to realise something that's of interest and importance to them. So we do mean community in the most broadest sense, but as I said, it's not a group of artists. So with the Artists in the Community scheme, we'll talk about both the Research and Development Award and the Project Realisation Award now. So as I said, twice yearly, the scheme offers awards to enable artists and communities to apply for funding to work together on projects. So it's open to artists across art forms. And the aim of the scheme is to encourage meaningful collaboration between artists and communities. It's essential, excuse me, it's really essential that consultation takes place between the artist and the community group, and particularly when developing a project realisation application, so that both parties are involved in deciding on the nature of the project. So what's really important is that group ownership of the art should be maintained at every stage. So this is quite a busy slide with a lot of text, but this is from the guidelines. So I suppose it's the objective and priorities of the award. And so we'll just run through these. So this is for, again, the AIC Scheme Awards. So your proposal should demonstrate value the creative contribution of all collaborators while providing opportunity for artistic challenge. It should support the inclusion of multiple voices in defining the identity and purpose of the project and making practical, artistic and conceptual decisions for the project. It should also ensure that the artistic quality, but also the quality of engagement between the artist and collaborators, are considered at all stages. So when I say that, from the planning, making, presentation, out to the evaluation of the work. So some things that might need to be or should be considered are things like power differentials, are there any ethical considerations, so on and so forth. So proposals should also demonstrate active support and commitment from all collaborators and partners and organisational clarity, including a clear understanding of the respective roles and contributions. And also they should consider how the project might develop or encourage opportunities for the community, such as new communications, new social networks, or new social or interest groups. So I suppose when we say this, it's reflecting on the potential use or the value of the project beyond the activity. So again, these are all outlined in the guidelines. So with the Research and Development Award, the purpose of the R&D Award is to support proposals from artists who wish to collaborate artistically with a community. So in this instance, the artist applies. So the R&D Award was introduced to the scheme to provide the opportunity for artists to explore, test out an idea, or undertake the preliminary development of a project in a community or social context. And then the purpose of the Project Realisation Award is that it supports proposals from the community or their representing organisation who want to collaborate artistically with an artist. So what's really important in your project realisation application is that the voice of the collaborating community members, so not necessarily the organisation, the community members, that it's really critical that it must be evident in the application. Because quite often what we do see is that there might be a really strong organisational representation or vision for the project, but it's not clear as to how the community have been, how the community have, I suppose, co-authored this idea with the artist. You'll see on the application form that there's a section for the artist, there's a section for the community and the organisation to complete, and then there's the section for the artist. But also, yeah, so I think, and also I suppose it's important that the proposal considers how the community have been actively involved and how they will be actively involved in the development of the work, so the artistic output. So in terms of the award amounts, so for the Research and Development Award, without mentoring, the maximum amount is 3,500. Without mentoring, it's 4,500, where the additional 1,000 euros is for an artist mentor. So I suppose what I should clarify here, it's important that the artist mentor is a professional artist and that they're there to support your needs as an artist. They're not there as an additional artist to work on the potential project, and they can't be part of the Project Realisation Award. So they're there to support your mentoring needs. There's also the Recent Graduate Award, which is the same amount as the R&D Award with mentoring, but a recent graduate can request up to additional 1,000 euros of additional funding to support the development of their practice. So this isn't to do a bigger R&D, but it's to cover additional support that a recent graduate may have. For example, they might want to bring in additional expertise, perhaps maybe a journalist, a community development worker, a healthcare worker. So whatever, I suppose, expertise or additional supports, or, there could be other things that the artist might identify as a need. And then there's the Project Realisation Award, where it's up to 15,000. And you'll also see the timeframes for R&D is up to 6 months. And the Project Realisation is 8 to 12 months. I highly recommend that people always apply for the full amount. So I think what's important for us to also outline what is not, what I suppose what the scheme won't support. So the scheme won't support proposals where the applicant has an idea and needs participants to populate the idea. So it's a pre-planned project. So what is really critical and important about the artist and the community scheme is that the community are involved in the developing of the project from beginning to end, and they will collaborate with the artist to realise this. I'm not going to go through the guidelines, but it is really important that you read them. I often find the easiest way for me to go through, the easiest way for me to go through guidelines is often to use a highlighter and take note of what's not clear and contact someone to find out, get clarity on what you're not clear on. Please feel free to drop us an email and we'll clarify anything that's not clear. But it's also what's important here. Here's where you find out the criteria for assessment, which that's what the panel will be assessing you on. And you'll also see things like the eligibility. So now we'll talk about the Artist in the Community Scheme Bursary Award. So the primary focus of the Bursary Award is the artist and the exploration and development of the artist's collaborative arts practice, so not a project. I suppose it's important to note that last year, the Bursary Award underwent a period of evolution. So it moved from an award that focused on elevating teams. So previously it would, I suppose, elevated, say, collaborative arts and dance or collaborative arts and disability. So what we have done now is, I suppose, we're offering more a developmental approach where the bursary focus on the practice. And the award offers more equitable access points. So the application process has changed from application only to now an expression of interest and then an interview. And also there are now 2 bursary awards in one round when there was previously 1, and the award amount has increased from 10,000 to 15,000. So I suppose what's important to, I'm just going to, do I have outlined? Yeah, I'll get to that in a minute. So the objectives of the bursary award is to support the individual professional artist in any art form to develop their collaborative socially engaged arts practice. So the artist must have a track record of working collaboratively with communities in the making and interpretation of the art. So the artist would need to have experience in delivering projects as opposed to someone who's interested in, I suppose, exploring collaboration. So you would need examples of past projects to help clearly articulate your collaborative practice. So the purpose of the award is to support and nurture professional arts practice. And I suppose also, with this being more of a developmental bursary, it's aimed at practitioners who are faced particular barriers and or challenges in developing their collaborative socially engaged practice. So what the bursary award offers, that's, I suppose, quite different to Arts Council bursary awards, is that the bursary award offers bi-monthly mentoring, support with Create, and up to 2 mentoring sessions with one of the experienced collaborative artists who are on the artist mentoring panel. And I'll mention more about them in a bit. So I suppose ultimately the bursary of 15,000 will provide the artist with the time, but also the resources to engage and reflect with their practice. So, you know, it might be time to maybe carry out research, but I suppose also it allows the artist to consider key questions associated with their collaborative practice and methodologies. So we will be announcing the bursary award later in the year. I have the dates actually at the end. I suppose I think this is always important to note, I suppose, what the difference between a bursary award and a project realization award. So the primary focus of the bursary award, as I said, is the artist and the exploration and development of the artist's collaborative arts practice. Now, your bursary award might include collaborative workshops or project elements. However, the delivery of a project is not the primary focus of a bursary. However, the primary focus of a project realization award is the co-creation and the making of a collaborative project with an artist in a community. So if anybody ever wants to reach out and have a conversation around, I suppose, differentiating their ideas, please feel free to contact me. So with the Artist Mentoring Award, so the Artist Mentoring Award is for artists who are interested in or maybe transitioning into collaborative practice, or maybe artists who are in the early stages of their collaborative practice. So it's for an artist who wishes to avail of a focused period of mentorship to develop and consolidate their practice. The mentorship is mentee-led, so you will need to identify your needs and the areas for development. The mentoring program runs for up to 8 months. And I suppose what it offers is 5 mentorship pairings with one of the panel's collaborative artists, so highly experienced collaborative practitioners. So just to the 2023 mentors would have been Aisling Byrne, Phelim Cannon, Rory O'Donovan, Gijo Sebastian, Kate O'Shea, John Conway, and Kathy Coughlin. And this year there will be additions to the mentorship or the AIC mentoring panel. There'll also be part of this is 2 in-person events, which will also centre a training element and additional development. So I'm nearly there. So we've also have the Artist Residency Award in partnership with the Fire Station Artist Residency. So this year we've given this residency award a name, and it's called Catalyst. So it's specifically for an artist from an underrepresented ethnic background, which could include artists who have first-hand experience of displacement, and are shaped by histories of intergenerational migration. I suppose what's important is that the artist does have a track record of working with communities. This residency, I suppose, will be like an experimental developmental incubation for 1 month, where they'll be based in Fire Station Artist Studios apartment. It'll be time to network with the wider field of collaborative practice in Dublin, as it's situated in Dublin. It'll also be an opportunity for the artists to maybe schedule meetings, maybe a space for reflection, or they'll also maybe some planning for future projects, or also partnership development. The award also comes with a place. The awardee will also be awarded a place at the Create and Counterpoint Arts Summer School on Collaborative Practice and Social Change. And there'll also be an appropriate stipend with this award and additional budget for, say, agreed expenses as well. So I also just want to note that I suppose, as I said, we do information sessions for each of the awards. So on the 27th of February, between 2 and 4 p.m, we have an information session with artist Veronica Diaz, who's going to talk about their experience of applying to the Artists in the Community scheme and devising the project with the community. And also on the 6th of March, we'll have another session with artist Bridget Mulligan. And again, that's 2 to 4 p.m, and that'll be online. And there's no need to apply or come to both. But I would say it's really interesting to hear different artists speak about their projects and speak about their approach to it. So I would totally welcome anyone to come to both sessions. But unfortunately, you'll have to listen to me repeating information at the very beginning. So here are the deadlines. So we have the round 1 of the Artists in the Community scheme is currently open. The deadline is the 25th of March. The AIC Artist Residency Award with Create and Fire Station is currently open. As of yesterday, it went live. So the deadline is the 8th of April, and that will happen in June. And then the deadlines for the Artist Mentoring Award will be the 13th of May, the Bursary Award, the 22nd of July, and then round 2 of the AIC Scheme Award is the 30th of September. Finally, I just want to say, I suppose, in terms of getting help with your application, we have, I suppose, increased the supports to remove barriers for artists who are applying to the scheme. So we offer additional supports for artists who have disabilities or additional access requirements. So perhaps it might be translation from other languages, ISL, or maybe interpretation for an advisory session. We're not prescriptive on what these are, because I suppose everyone has different requirements. So feel free to contact us, and you can contact us on info@create oh my God, underscore, isn't it? Ireland.ie. And it's also 014736600. And also, if you do have any questions that you'd like to book a one-to-one advisory, please feel free to contact us. But if it's around the AIC scheme, I highly recommend that you come to the information session first and then book a session. And that is it. Perfect.
That's great, Anya. Thanks very much. It's a great presentation. Again, we'll come to any questions that are in the chat at the end. So I'm going to hand over to Ange now, who will bring you through information about Arts and Disability Ireland and the ADC scheme.
That's great. Thanks, Karen. I'll just share my screen. Just a moment. Now, can everybody see that okay?
Yes.
Great stuff. Thank you. Right. So, just a moment to set this up. So, yeah, introduce myself. I'm Ange Senior. I'm the program manager at Arts and Disability Ireland. I'm a white female with light hair, wearing glasses and a black jumper today. So today I'm going to give a short overview of the work that Arts and Disability Ireland do, and then go on to speak about the Arts and Disability Connect Award. So Arts and Disability Ireland, also known as ADI, is the National Development and Resource Organisation for Arts and Disability. We focus on championing the creativity of artists with disabilities, promoting inclusive experiences for audiences with disabilities, working to enhance the disability relation capacity of arts organisations. And we do this in partnership with the arts sector, and we encourage the disability sector to do the same. The UN Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities defines disability as persons with disabilities include those who have long-term physical, mental, intellectual, or sensory impairments, which in interaction with various barriers may hinder their full and effective participation in society on an equal basis with others. So to give you an idea of what we do, Arts and Disability Ireland provides funding for artists through the Arts and Disability Connect scheme, which I'll go on to speak about further shortly. So we manage this on behalf of the Arts Council, and the scheme has awarded just over €500,000 to 156 artists since 2014. ADI also provides access services for audiences. And for example, on screen, you'll see a captioned performance of Druid's national tour of Waiting for Godot in 2018. We also provide training, and on screen are photos of from a disability equality training, which we provided for artists and arts workers at the National Opera House in Wexford on behalf of Safe to Create in 2023. And we're also involved in commissioning of work. So on screen is a photo of The Race, which is a dance piece by disabled choreographer Mark Brew. And this was presented in partnership with the ARC and Dublin Dance Festival in 2023. And ADI are also involved in advocacy work. So on screen are images of Pádraig Naughton, who's our executive director, representing ADI at the Joint Committee on Tourism, Culture, Arts, Sports and Media in 2022. So now I'll go on, so that's what we do as an organisation, a very brief overview, and now I'll go on to tell you about the Arts and Disability Connect scheme. So the Arts and Disability Connect scheme is an Arts Council scheme managed by Arts and Disability Ireland. The scheme is designed to support individual artists with disabilities to be ambitious, to develop their practice, to connect with arts organisations and arts professionals in the Republic of Ireland. And it offers artists an opportunity to make a change in their practice, to step up in terms of scope and scale, to engage in new learning experiences, to develop new working relationships, to buy time to research and reflect on their work, and to make and present new work to audiences. There are 4 strands within this scheme which you can apply for, and these are our New Work Award, our Research and Reflection Award, the Mentoring Award, and the Training Award. Each of the awards have their own specific aims, objectives, and criteria, so just please read the guidelines to see which award is the best one for you at the moment. Now to go into each of the different awards, so the first one I'll chat about is our New Work Award. So for this, artists can apply for a maximum of €50,000 and a minimum of €8,000. This is for artists with a strong track record in their professional arts practice. It provides funding to develop, make, and present ambitious new work to an audience. And for this award, you must have the support of a presenting partner at the time of applying. Presenting partners can include arts centres, arts festivals, arts organisations, and arts venues in the Republic of Ireland. Our next award is the Research and Reflection Award. And for this, you can apply for up to a maximum of €5,000. This award is for artists who want time and resources to think, research, reflect, and critically engage with their practice. And it can be used to develop new relationships with partners, to submit, potentially submit a new work application in the future, or to develop other strategic partnerships. This particular award, 100% of the award can go to the artist as their fee. The next one is our Mentoring Award. So artists can apply for up to €3,000. And this is for artists at all stages of their career who wish to engage in mentoring opportunities. It's an opportunity for the artist and the mentor to work together to critically reflect, discuss, and experiment with aspects of the artist's practice. And they can explore alternative approaches to making and presenting work, or share information, advice, resources, and contacts, and so on. This award includes a fee of up to €1,500 for the mentor and a fee for the artist as well. And then lastly is our training award. So for this, artists can apply for up to €1,000. It's for artists who wish to engage in professional development and other learning opportunities. And it covers things like training days and short courses, or workshops, masterclasses, residencies. Oops, sorry there. Residencies and so on. Now, this award does not include a fee for the artist. So often we get asked, what does a good proposal look like? So a good proposal has a clear plan. And, when we think about this, an easy way to think of structuring it is to make sure you're including the following kind of information. So what you're planning to do and why you want to do this at this point in your career now. So like, what's your motivation? And for instance, if you're applying for a mentoring award, then why this mentorship will be helpful to you at the moment, why this particular mentor, what do they bring, for you to learn from? And then how you're going to achieve it. So what's your methodology? So for instance, if you're applying for a research and reflection award, how will you go about the research you're going to do? Will you be reading certain books? Will you be trialing ways of working or experimenting and so on? So just make sure that you're detailing that. And when will it happen? So make sure to include the dates and where will it happen. So for instance, if you're doing a training award, is it online or is it a particular venue and so on? Or for other awards, are you working from your studio? That kind of thing. A good proposal will also detail how the award will help your arts practice. So for this thing, it's kind of thinking big picture and future goals. So how will this award help you on that journey? And what is it you need at the moment in your arts practice? A good proposal is also feasible. So, have you provided enough time for what you want to do? Are you trying to do too much? Does the budget seem realistic? And, have the collaborators provided letters of support so that, we know that they're on board and that they're committed to the project? A good proposal will also meet the objectives of the award. So for this, we say always read the guidelines. Each award has its own, as I said before, has its own specific aims, objectives, and criteria, and what these will be, the applications will be assessed against. And when you read the guidelines, the criteria specifically in the guidelines, you can make sure your proposal fits the award. A good proposal also has strong supporting documents. So make sure you include your CV, examples of your work, any letters of support from collaborators that you've mentioned in your proposal. And again, the guidelines will tell you for each award what you need to provide. And lastly, a good proposal will also answer all of the questions. So you must answer all of the questions in the application forms. And if something doesn't apply to you, you can write not applicable or NA in that box. And also when it comes to things like the word count, we really recommend, writing to the maximum word count or just below it. Obviously don't go over the word count, but really use that word count as an opportunity to tell us as much as you can about your proposal and what you want to do. Now, on the other side of that is what makes an application ineligible. So applications will be ineligible if the activities are outside the Republic of Ireland. So, activities in the application that are taking place outside the Republic of Ireland, that could be the applicant, the mentor, the collaborator, or the arts partner. If they're living outside of the Republic of Ireland, the application will be ineligible. And this happens a lot with artists, who are based in Northern Ireland, or people wanting to do residencies or other training abroad. Now, as was mentioned before in Karen's presentation, there is an exception where Arts Industry Ireland and Arts Council might accept applications made by artists living outside of the Republic of Ireland. And in this scenario, to be eligible, you'd need to demonstrate your connection to the Republic of Ireland and that the outcomes of the proposal benefit the arts in the Republic of Ireland. And in this case, we also recommend that you contact Arts Industry Ireland in advance of putting in an application. You must be an individual artist with a disability to apply for this award. You'll be ineligible if you do not have an arts practice. So you need to apply as an artist. We don't support applications for design or craft, as they're not the art forms that the Arts Council support. Like, unless they're, you know, visual artworks that might use craft techniques, for example, you know, clay to make ceramic sculptures, you know, but not cups, plates, or teapots, or things like that that are only made for practical use. And you'll be ineligible if you're applying for capital costs or equipment. So the award isn't designed to be used as a capital grant, so it can't be used to buy significant items of equipment, for example, laptops, cameras, or instruments. You can't apply if you're in third level education. So this can be full-time post-leaving cert course, it could be a degree or postgrad education. And lastly, you can't apply if you're with another artist or as part of a group. So, you know, this is one of the major differences, obviously, between CREATE's Artists in the Community Scheme and the Arts Industry Connect scheme. For our scheme, you must be an individual artist applying. Now, post-application support. Oh, sorry, jumping ahead. Excuse me. So, Arts Industry Ireland, Arts Industry Connect offers post-application support, which is unique to the scheme. So if there's small issues with your application that would technically make it ineligible, you'll be given a window of opportunity of 48 hours to make some small corrections. In this case, you'd receive an email from ADI a few days after the deadline with the list of issues and how they can be corrected and when to submit these corrections by in order to be considered eligible. So some of the issues that typically come up are things like, you know, your budget's not balanced or parts of the budget are incorrect. You haven't listed the dates of the activities. You haven't included examples, or sorry, you haven't included supporting documents such as CVs, letters of support, or examples of your work. Or the files submitted are in incorrect format and potentially we cannot access them. Other than those requested corrections, and there are some other ones as well that would come up, you cannot make any other changes to your application. Any fundamental changes like changing your arts partner, your mentor, or your training provider, they wouldn't be accepted. And just if we don't receive the corrections within the time given, unfortunately, the application would then be ineligible. So here's when you can apply in 2024. So for round one, that opens on Tuesday, the 19th of March, and it closes at 4 p.m. on Tuesday, the 7th of May. And then round two opens on Tuesday, the 12th of August, and it closes at 4 p.m. on Tuesday, the 8th of October. All 4 strands will go in each round, so you'll be able to apply in both rounds for any of those awards I've mentioned. You can find all of our applications and our guidelines on our website, which is adiarts.ie/connect. To give you an idea of what the website looks like, this is the Connect page. And if you scroll down, you'll see the applications and guidelines are there as Word docs, and we have easy read documents where you can download everything. So on the page at the moment, this is our 2023 documents, and the documents for round one of 2024 will be available from the 19th of March. So if you do have any questions, we have the following supports available. So we'll have a come and ask questions session, which is a live Q&A on Zoom. This is, you know, to answer any questions an applicant might have. This will also have ISL interpretation and captions provided as well. And this will be on Tuesday, the 9th of April from 12 to 1 p.m. You can email us on connect@adiarts.ie with any questions you might have. We always recommend just read the guidelines, and we also create a FAQs document as well for each round, and hopefully that might help with any answers you have as well. You can book in for one-to-one applicant support. So we host these on Zoom or on the phone, and these will go live when the round opens. And this is an opportunity for you to chat with us about your application. You can send it in to us in advance, and we can have a read of it, we can review, and we can, chat through it with you. It's really an opportunity for us to help you strengthen your application as much as you can before you submit it and it goes to the panel. And you can also watch recordings of information sessions on Arts-ability Ireland's YouTube and SoundCloud. So just a final reminder of where you can find all of the information is on our website, adiarts.ie/connect. Our application forms, our guidelines, easy read information, and FAQs will all be there from the 19th of March. And lastly, thank you very much for attending this session today. And we just really want to say thank you to the Arts Council participation team, especially Karen Whelan and Carol McNanny, for all of their support and bringing us all together today. There.
That's great. Ange, great presentation. So I was thinking now, before we go to the floor with questions, I just have a couple of questions that I'll put to the panel. I think they're probably the most areas that we will come up against across the three of us. So can I just ask you, what are the most common errors? And I think these might be covered off, but anyway, it's no harm in giving a little refresher. What are the most common errors that applicants make? Anya?
Yeah, I can jump in.
Yeah.
Something as simple as the support material maybe not being uploaded, wrong CV, wrong support material. I think, and this would be, I suppose, one of my top tips is that support material should never be an afterthought, because I suppose it does allow you to tell the story of your practice as well. So it helps the panel to visualize, I suppose, the potential of your practice, what the artistic output potentially may look like. But I suppose what's also important is another I wouldn't say error, but I suppose a boo-boo for the practice is that it's really important that you, I suppose, in order to have good support material, you need to budget for it in your projects. So you need to have good documentation. So that's the trace of the practice. And it's also, I suppose, evidence of your work, which is your support material. So I would always be encouraging artists to ensure that they budget well for good documentation and consider it at the early stages, because that's going to be your next suite of support material. But also it's the way that we can trace the practice for the future, and I suppose the Irish archive of practice. So that'd be, I think, one of my big common errors is support material fitting the work and not telling the story.
Ange, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, absolutely. I 100% agree with that as well. Very often one of the things we're getting in touch with people is to do with support materials as well, or even things like links aren't working and things like that. They haven't kind of checked that stuff. One thing that's just popped into mind as we're talking there as well is that not actually telling us what you're doing in your application. Sometimes we hear a lot about maybe who the person is as an artist, but not necessarily what they're going to do. And so just being really clear in your application about what it is you're planning to do. And sometimes it's really helpful to get someone else to read your application. And maybe they don't know what it is you're planning to do. They read your application and then they feed back to you what they think you're doing, what you're applying for. Because then you know if somebody's understanding it and if it makes sense to someone else and if it's clear. So I'd absolutely recommend that, always getting someone else. And it's a vulnerable thing, to get other people to read this, but somebody that you trust and somebody that will give you some honest feedback as well on it could be really beneficial. And other things that pop up is things like I kind of mentioned before as well, the budget, not balancing, not checking that you've got the figures in correctly, not including how much it is you're applying from us for, things like that. And also making sure that you use the actual application form. Sometimes we get people sending us in a separate budget or sending us an application form that's not actually our application form. You know, they're actually just, they've written a proposal and they send us that as a PDF, but we need you to answer everything within our own application form and within our own budget template. And we're, you know, however we can help, just get in touch. You know, like I said, if you're struggling with the application form in any way, get in touch and we'll see how we can help you to support you through that.
Yeah, that's great. And I think that's important to note the differences across awards and schemes, because with Create now, there's an opportunity to put forward an expression of interest. Whereas Arts Council, you have to download the application form, whereas with the others, the application forms are available on the website. So it's just bearing in mind, you know, that each scheme has very specific guidelines and rules. For us, I think very, very simple things kind of let people down. And that's leaving it too late to start writing your application. They do take time, and particularly if you're not a regular person who applies regularly, you probably wouldn't estimate the enough time, you know, that it will take to do an application. So start well in advance. And the other one is trying to upload it on the day of and too close to the deadline. So give yourself enough time to write your application and submit it in plenty of time, not the last day. Too much heavy traffic on the platforms. And I think another one is not reading the guidelines. So I think they are big documents, and they can be off-putting, but they are in sections. So go to the section that you want to look at first, you know, and then the technical part of the guidelines is really important, because there are specific requirements, particularly for the Arts Council, that people need to adhere to with Open Office and the word count. So there's just, yeah. So, and then I think applying for the wrong award, there's many times we would have people, you know, applying for a project, submitting a project for a bursary. So to read the guidelines, be clear what it is you want to do. And if you have any questions, call us, email us. That's what we're here to help.
Actually, Karen, sorry, you finished?
Yeah, no, go ahead.
Actually, just something that came to mind is that with the Research and Development Award, we often find that people feel that they have to produce an output, and they don't. It's not a project. So that's actually a really huge error that we often find, that people, I suppose, don't see it as it's an opportunity to research, to develop the idea and test out some thinking. We don't need any presentation at the end or artistic output. So that's really important, you know.
Yeah. Similar to the bursary. Whereas the project, there is an artistic output at the end. So again, it's be sure to what it is that you want to do and read the guidelines.
That seems to be quite common actually as well, because similarly for us, for our Research and Reflection Awards, there's no part of it, you can't have a presentation at the end, whereas for the New Work Award, you must have a presentation at the end. And sometimes there can be a big confusion there. And also even between mentoring, we have a separate mentoring award and we have a Research and Reflection Award. So just, you know, being clear what it is you need, because sometimes people try to fit an award which isn't quite the right fit, when the other one would have been a much better fit. So
what are your most frequently asked questions? Do you have any? Do you get the same? Do you get the same questions asked over and over?
We do get very similar questions that come in quite a lot. You know, often it's about, you know, how to approach potential mentors or trainers or presenting partners and so on, and advice around that. And so often we'll kind of say, you know, an email or a phone call is a good place to start, to try and kind of get to know them, you know, tell them the award that you're applying for and explain why you'd like to work with them. And, you know, they'll be able to let you know if they can be involved or if they can't, or if maybe they think someone else might be a better fit. And also about finding the right collaborators as well. Sometimes people choose someone they know as opposed to someone who might be, you know, the right fit. So that often kind of comes up in assessment process as well. They're not quite sure why they chose this person to work with, you know, what that brings to their practice or their arts practice. So just make sure you're finding the right people to work with. And if you're struggling to just think of who might be a good presenting partner or a suitable mentor, things, you can also contact us if we can help, you know, to kind of sound that out a bit, or even connect people up. You know, we'll do what we can in those spaces. So yeah, that would be something that comes up quite frequently for us.
Anya?
Oh, I totally agree with Ange there in terms of the mentor. You know, it is about you identifying your mentoring needs and who's the right fit for that. I suppose what's important about the artists in the community scheme, we're not necessarily art form specific, we're practice specific. So, you know, a theatre maker, I could be a theatre maker and have a visual artist as my mentor because I might be maybe moving into collaboration and want someone with a strong collaborative practice. So like that, don't ask your buddy who you go for coffee with. This is about an opportunity for you to extend your network. And also, I think it's important that you see mentorship as a two-way process. Mentors gain an awful lot from it. But like that, if you're kind of stuck as to who, I would suggest even look at our case studies, and also feel free to reach out. It's hard for us to kind of go, oh, you should work with this person. We try to look at what are your needs, where you're placed in the country, you know, how would you like to work with someone? So we'll do our best to support you that way. You also can reference the artist mentor panel that we have. But also a big question that we often get is can I apply to work with young people only? And with the AIC scheme, it won't support projects where young people are the target community, but it will support projects where there's a genuine intergenerational element to the project. And I have seen it where people have kind of squished the intergenerational element in, and it can be obvious. So I always say, you know, like the funding will come to the idea, and there's also Arts Council specific funding for young people. I think also, you know, people are like, oh, is it okay if I approach the community? And absolutely, it's okay at any point to contact a community, even if it's project realization, to kind of go, I'd love to do this project with you, or the community might even approach the artist to work on the R&D phase. What's really important is that it's clear as that if you're an artist approaching communities, that you want to collaborate with them, so that I suppose that you're going to make a project. I have had questions, can I apply for the R&D award? But I want to, can I apply for the R&D award, but I will go off to make work in response to the community that I've worked with? That's not what the scheme is for. It's particular specific that it's about collaboration from beginning to end. So, and that's that if some people work that you work with communities in your research element, and then it's clear with the community that that's what you're doing. But for the AIC scheme, it's collaboration. We mean it from the R&D phase out to the realization of the work through to evaluating and how you do that. So yeah.
Yeah, and it's very much as well with the Arts Council, the intergenerational aspect. Yes, they can apply in arts participation, but if it's young people focused, we have the Young People, Children and Education team who have offered their own funding rounds. I suppose one of the questions we will get is, oh, you know, I'm an artist with a disability, so do I apply to arts participation? So it doesn't matter, any artist, regardless of their background or ability, can apply to any funding awards. It's not specific. So again, arts participation is about the collaborative nature process and working with the communities who are not arts professionals. So it's about the project, and that's when, or your practice, and that's where you apply, not because of who you are. And then one of them is the difference, you know, what's the difference between a bursary and a project? And I think we've answered that already, in that the bursary is about the artists themselves and professionally developing themselves in their practice by upskilling or working with a mentor or other collaborators, whereas a project is a project and it involves that collaborative process and start, beginning and end. The community is involved and there is an artistic output. If there was one piece of advice that you would give an applicant, what would it be? Ash?
Sure thing, I'll jump in. It's hard to say one piece of advice. So I know I've mentioned a few of them throughout. So reading the guidelines is one of the biggest things, most important things to do. And like I said, asking someone to proofread your application as well, and to look over it. I would also say book in for our one-to-one applicant support. That's something that we see a big difference between the applications that we see are in draft stage to what they then are submitted if they've had that applicant support, because we've been really able to highlight with them where they may be misinterpreting a question or not quite answering a question, that kind of thing. And one of the things that this would probably be one of my biggest pieces of advice really, is that, you know, to be mindful that there are always more people applying for funding than there is funding available. So unfortunately, success rates aren't great, do you know? And we know that, you know, much of life as an artist is about getting decline letters or rejection letters and not getting the funding. And it's so disappointing and it's heartbreaking because it's such personal part of people that's in their work, such a huge part of them is in their work. So what I would say is, you know, whether you get the funding or you don't get the funding, get feedback on your application. We always endeavour to have feedback for everyone who applies, and that will really help you strengthen your applications in the future. So please don't be disheartened. Keep going and come and get the feedback and chat with us.
Great. Anya?
A bit like Anne, sure. I suppose earlier I mentioned the whole thing of support material and documentation. Really embed that in your applications. I also think it's really important, particularly for the nature of collaborative practice, is to embed a reflective practice in the project from the very beginning. So in your application stage. And I think this helps you to kind of more quickly check in on things like, you know, are all the voices in the community being heard? Are there some biases, you know, even some of the ethics around the work? So, and it's just good practice. It's good for the memory to kind of set something in train, you know, that you have a formula that you're going to follow in terms of reflecting in on the work. And it's also helpful for you when it comes to the reporting point of an application, because nobody wants that to be onerous or for you to be writing in hindsight. So I suppose when you put something in place early days, it just helps in that later point when you're reporting. And also when it comes to reporting, this is just came to me that, like, it's really important that you report in the reality of what actually happened. We're not interested to hear it. It was absolutely super. It was so perfect. Everything happened as I planned and as we planned, because nothing happens as planned. We're working with people, with many people, so things shift and change. And also, I suppose in reporting, this is where we learn what the needs of the sector are. So if there are challenges, nothing's a failure, it's a challenge, and it's what you do with the challenge. And we're always there. Reach out to Create. If there's a challenge in the work, we can tease it out with you. The other thing is I think as well, just I think budgets. Do your budget and you won't be long knowing what's actually feasible, because often you can see an amazing project idea has been written and you kind of go, oh my God, it's only 15,000, and you can see that they've tried to squash it now into the budget. And I think when you look at, you know, paying an artist must be paid, no in-kind support from the artist, that I suppose it really helps you look at the scale and the possibility of the project. And finally, well, not finally, but word count. Always check the word count on the on the online applications. It's not safe to say that the application is going to tell you if you've gone over the word count. And also, research and development phase is so invaluable. Just, I think it's such a critical point of any project. So do apply for it. And finally, same as Ange, ask for feedback. we're there we understand the letters are cold, they're a piece of paper, they're just words, but we are there to bring the advice from the panel or from the organization to you. That is our job, to continue to support the work. So please reach out and continue the dialogue with us. Like, we need you to reach out to support your practice and evolve it. So do get feedback. And yeah, that's kind of some of probably more, but I'll leave it there.
Well, I can say, I mean, the same goes across, I think, all of us, you know. I think documenting as you go along is a great help. And again, it's a body of work that's done if you do it on a, you know, as you go along. One of the things is for us, make sure that you back up in your application. And when I mean back up, I mean provide the evidence of what it is that you've said in your application form. So if you have said, oh, I have financial support from Louth Local Arts Office, have a letter there confirming that from Louth Local Arts Office. You know, if somebody is going to agree to collaborate with you, get a letter from them. So all those supporting materials. So it's kind of confirming that within the application, because that makes the application so much stronger. One piece of advice I would give would be to think about, is this the right time for you to apply? Quite often you can see some people, oh, there's a closing date, I'll put in an application, but it might be something that you might need to put some work into, you know, and if your proposal is not as strong as you would have liked it to be because it was rushed, yeah, so, and have you got the time, particularly say for a bursary, you know, have you got that, can you take that quality time out to concentrate? So it's just making sure that, you know, now is the right time for you to make the application. And again, yeah, budgets, you know, and artists pay, which is very important to the Arts Council. So if there are other artists involved in your proposal, ensuring that they're paid accordingly. I'd like to thank everybody, Anya, Ange, Carol, and I know Patrick and Roisin for being helping us out as well. Our ISL interpreters, and also our captioner for today. I hope you all did find it very useful. And apologies again for the startup, but we just wanted to make sure everybody got access to the session and lessons learned for us the next time around. We will follow up with the recording, and well, we will make our PowerPoint available probably on the website. And Anya, is that something that you can do, or, you know, and we'll follow up with any more questions, and we'll see them in the chat, so we'll be able to take them out.
Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you.
Bye.
Take care. Bye.